Washington state taxes just got increased and it's not going to get any cheaper.
When rich people complain about paying most of the taxes in the United States, please remind them that's because they hoard all the money. The wealthiest 10% of Americans own 60% of the nation's wealth, while the bottom 50% of Americans own only 6%. So yeah, rich people pay a higher percentage of the taxes because they have a higher percentage of the money.
We shouldn't be paying no damn income tax anyway. Just because we were born here, something that we did not request, does not make the government entitled to 30 to 40% of our income for our entire lives. That is slavery.
In this country right now, people are taxed into poverty for a reason. And the reason is so that they can steal it. And in the same breath, they can create a situation where people are so busy trying to survive that they can't even understand how their money's being stolen.
The government of the United States has no respect for the time and effort it takes taxpayers to earn their income.
Every projection is a confession. Trump has literally enacted the largest tax on Americans in history.
Let's start with a simple question. If you put in the 9 to 5, pay your taxes on every single paycheck, and play by the rules in America, why does it still feel like the deck is stacked against you? Because for millions of average American workers, the system isn't just confusing. It's actively designed to favor those who already have wealth over those who earn a wage. Despite doing everything right, you're left wondering why the ultra-rich pay proportionally less than you do. The biggest reason? The U.S. tax structure. It is quietly rigged to favor asset owners over wage earners and the wealthiest over the working class. Let's break down the facts. This tax code quietly rewards those who own wealth, not those who build it through labor. 2. The double hit of income tax plus payroll. Tax, let's talk about what average workers actually pay. Every time you get a paycheck, you are hit with 2 separate federal taxes on your wages: federal income tax and payroll taxes, Social Security and Medicare. Taxes on labor income are much heavier than taxes on income from capital. The Social Security portion of the payroll tax has a wage cap, meaning earnings above a certain threshold are not taxed. By excluding the highest earnings, this tax alone has a regressive impact, as higher income earners pay a smaller fraction of their total income in it. Meanwhile, someone generating income from a stock portfolio isn't subject to these payroll taxes at all. This difference clearly favors those who derive income from assets over those who earn it through work. 3. The stealth tax, sales and regressive taxes. Now let's look at the regressive taxes that quietly punish those with the least. While the federal income tax is progressive, many state and local taxes, which you pay every day, are regressive. The clearest example is the sales tax. It's applied uniformly, meaning everyone pays the same percentage on a purchase. However, if a lower-income worker and a high-income earner buy the same $1,000 TV with a 7% sales tax, that $70 represents a much larger percentage of the low-income worker's budget. Lower-income consumers spend a larger share of their total income on essentials that attract sales or excise taxes, making the burden on them proportionally higher. 4. America's most broken tax, tax compliance costs. The complexity of the U.S. tax system is itself a major unfair cost that overwhelmingly burdens the average person. Americans spend an estimated 7.1 billion hours annually complying with IRS requirements. That's the equivalent of 3.4 million full-time workers doing nothing but tax paperwork for a full year. The income of the super-rich is only a small fraction of their wealth, making a traditional income tax ineffective at curtailing their financial power. Meanwhile, a full-time worker has their income taxed every month without fail. 6. Inheritance, the untouchable pillar of dynasty. Finally, there's how wealth is passed down. While the U.S. has an estate tax that applies to only the largest fortunes, it doesn't stop dynastic wealth transfer. Assets passed to heirs often receive a step-up in basis, which effectively wipes out any accrued capital gains tax liability when the original owner dies. This allows generations of wealth to transfer tax-free, cementing inequality and reducing the chances for those not born into privilege to catch up. Conclusion and potential solutions. The result of this system is that many average Americans are working harder for less, fueling an economy that rewards speculation over work. What could be done? Economists advocate for deliberate policy choices. Equalize capital and income tax rates. Tax all income the same, whether it's earned through labor or derived from assets. Shift taxation. Reduce payroll taxes to ease the burden on workers, funding the gap by taxing capital. Create a wealth tax. Introduce an annual tax on the net wealth of the richest citizens to fund programs for those in need. If you're an average worker in the U.S., the tax system isn't designed for you. It relies on you, it extracts from you, but it doesn't reward you. It's about fairness, and it's time we started saying the system is broken out loud.
When rich people complain about paying most of the taxes in the United States, please remind them that's because they hoard all the money. The wealthiest 10% of Americans own 60% of the nation's wealth, while the bottom 50% of Americans own only 6%. So yeah, rich people pay a higher percentage of the taxes because they have a higher percentage of the money. The higher percentage share of taxes paid by the rich is an indictment of their greed, not a testament to their generosity.
Yes, rich people pay a higher share of taxes, but that's only because they control an overwhelmingly higher share of the money. The video calls this high tax share an indictment of their greed, not a testament to their generosity. It's a challenge to the narrative that the wealthy are martyrs for the tax system. Basically, the video reminds us, if you hoard 60% of the cookies, you're going to pay 60% of the bill. It's math, not magic.
We shouldn't be paying no damn income tax anyway. Just because we were born here, something that we did not request, does not make the government entitled to 30 to 40% of our income for our entire lives. That is slavery. We all pay taxes under threat and duress because we're afraid of what happens if we don't. How is that not slavery? How is that not slavery? How is that not slavery? How is it not making us property of the Federal Reserve? Hey, if you don't pay us 30 to 40%, like, they're gonna come knocking down your door. What's gonna happen? Like, what are we afraid of actually happening if we just stop paying? You know? Because it's absurd that we have to pay in the first place. Like, to be part of this so-called country that just gives our money away to foreign governments for its own purposes, spending on ridiculous things. Like, I'm done. I was done a long time ago.
Her final point is about government spending. She finds it absurd that citizens have to pay such high taxes, especially when the resulting money is often wasted, specifically mentioning giving money away to foreign governments for its own purposes and spending on ridiculous things. The whole thing, in her view, is just completely finished. It's a very extreme libertarian view of taxation and freedom. The core question remains, is taxation a necessary function of a civil society, or is it, as she claims, a form of economic enslavement? Big question to ponder.
Inequality. A major cause is the tax system. For the typical worker, say a third of his income is taxed away. So the tax pushes down his wage. And then the government gets revenue and it provides public goods. And these public goods end up increasing land value and land rent. The public goods like security, better fire protection, schools, highways, and so on make locations more productive and more attractive. That increases the demand to be there. It increases the rent and land value. So the typical worker tenant gets double billed. He pays a higher rent to be located in good locations, and he pays taxes to pay for the public goods. If the worker tenant is double billed, somebody is getting subsidized, and that is the landowner. The landowner gets higher rent and land value from taxes paid for mostly by labor, so that's an implicit subsidy, and that subsidy pushes up the value of land and housing. So the reason people can't afford housing is because their wage has been pushed down and the value of land has been pushed up. So a land value tax cures that, right? If we don't tax your wage at all, you get to keep your entire wage, and you also keep whatever interest you get from savings. You keep your wage, and the taxes on all landowners according to the land value. So that stops the subsidy. So that raises the wages, and you keep your whole wage, and reduces housing costs, and now people can afford housing. So it's equitable because it pays back value received. It's also efficient because if you tax labor, you get less labor If you tax capital, you get less capital. If you tax land, right, does the land shrink? Or maybe the land will flee the country? Or maybe the land will hide so you can't see it? Well, the land does not shrink, flee, or hide, right? So therefore, and because land is inherently visible, so therefore the taxation of land is efficient. It doesn't raise the rent. It doesn't raise the price of products produced on the land, right? So it's equitable and efficient.
So the typical worker or tenant gets double billed. They pay taxes that fund the public goods, and then they pay higher rent to the landowner to be located in the now more productive and attractive area. The worker pays twice, and the landowner gets an implicit subsidy from taxes paid by labor, which pushes up housing costs. It's a powerful argument for taxing what you haven't created. The system is equitable and efficient. It pays back the value received without punishing work. Fascinating perspective. What do you think about taxing land, not labor?
And that wraps up our look at why U.S. tax system is draining the average worker. I hope you found this breakdown useful. If you want to keep learning and stay informed, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss my next analysis. You can also click the video thumbnail right here to watch another deep dive on a related topic. Thanks for investing your time with me. I'll see you in the next video.